Hey, deserving listeners, 90-Day Fiancé, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You deserve it. Let's watch.
I just want to relax. I've been through so much because of Michael. It's like, I don't even want to look at him. He's a liar and a scammer to me.
Do we want to find a solution to this problem, or do you want to hear?
I'm all right. I'm eating.
Or do you?
I'm done.
Or
Fight
are you
with him,
done?
man. Go home.
Wait.
This. No. You can give me a straight answer. Don't you goddamn lie me in my face.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to comment on this anymore, really. We're going to use it as a educational tool. That for Angela, the hypothesis that I have, I don't know if any of this is real. It could be scripted, could be acted, could be faked, could be edited. I don't know. But what we're being presented is someone that is absolutely abusive, physically, economically, verbally, emotionally. You could even say a version of like citizen abuse, like green card abuse, because she holds that over him, tries to control him through that. And she is now getting in his face again. And I didn't show it, but he was talking with the friend of Angela, and the way Angela's friend seemed to be talking, she seemed to be saying like, well, and she even said this directly to some extent, that before coming to Nigeria, the friend was convinced that Angela's perspective was rational and that all of the problems were indeed Michael's fault. But after coming to Nigeria and seeing the interactions, the friend, I think, is concluding that Angela is most of the problem. The way that the friend phrased it was they both contribute to the problem. But the way the friend was talking to Michael, it seemed like she thought there's no way out of this other than to just appease Angela, even though it doesn't make any sense. The friend I don't think the friend believes that it is a problem that Michael has an Instagram account. And her advice, I understand where it comes from, but it isn't good advice. If I were Michael's friend, I wouldn't give the advice. What she said was, the friend said was, well, Michael, you just have to give up this Instagram because she's so adamant about it. And I think the friend was even kind of saying, it doesn't really make any sense that she wants you to delete your Instagram, but there's really no way around this other than to just give in, because if you continue to do this, it's just going to get worse and worse. And the friend was saying, Michael, if you want to put your foot down with something that matters more. And I understand that advice because, you know, Instagram, it's not that big of a deal, but one could consider it to be a pretty big deal. But what Michael said, which I 100% agree with, if I were his friend, I would say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If I was his therapist, I might even believe this too. Michael's like, if I don't put my foot down here, if I give in here, it'll just be something else, because it's always something else. If I don't say, no, this is where the line is, she's just going to continue to bulldoze me and abuse me and control me and take things away from me. And I need this line. I've given up so much already. Okay. And that makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. One, just for him to have his own rights, but also as a test. I think that's kind of how he's thinking of it to some extent, of just like, if she can't I'll do everything I can to make it easy for her to be okay with me having an Instagram. I won't fight back. I'll try to explain myself. I'll do everything I can. I'll reassure her. I won't flirt with women on Instagram. I'll tell her why I want the Instagram. I'll be calm. I'll be nice to her. And if she can't handle that, then this isn't meant to be. Because before, when she would attack me, I thought, well, maybe she's right, or I'll just give in on this one thing. Yeah, she put a cake in my face. You know, she had a bad day. It's not great, but I'll let it go. But I think he has learned, there's a lot of bad things that are happening, and I can't look at it through rose-colored glasses anymore. So I wonder, if I just put my foot down about this, what's really going to happen here? Because if she can't adjust, then this whole relationship is based on only what she wants and never has to do with what I want. Now, the friend did point out that Michael has done things in the past that is contributing to Angela being upset. And I think what they're referring to is Michael having cheated on her in the past, which is true. And yeah, sure. But just because you've been cheated on, that doesn't mean that it gives you license to abuse your partner. But anyway, so for Angela, my thesis is that she is controlling and abusive, and she has a pattern of that, and she's done it before, and she'll probably do it again with the next partner that she has, because she has kind of a classic potential presentation. I don't know if it's true or not. I can only go off what we see, but the presentation is that she is deeply insecure, and she believes the only way to gain security is through this behavior. She feels entitled, justified. She feels like, well, that makes sense because look what he's done to me. It gives me the right to do this. And it was probably modeled to her. I can't imagine that she grew up in a family that didn't have any of this. I'm quite sure I would put a lot of money on her being around at least one person, if not multiple people, who did this all the time to each other. So it was modeled to her. She saw it. She might have participated in it herself when she was a child to other kids or whatever, to siblings. And she just thinks this is normal. This is okay. And so here she goes again.
Or do you?
I'm done
or
fighting
are you
with him,
done?
man. Go home.
Which?
This. No, you can give me a straight answer. Don't you goddamn lie to me in my face.
Angie, calm
What
down.
did you say, you lying bastard?
Come on, sit down.
What'd you say?
Yeah, so I think the friend might be finally seeing the light of just like, my God, Angela is a tyrant. She is a massive problem. And I know that there are some people that wonder if this is all scripted because it just looks so over the top. And it could be, but it doesn't look that way to me. I can't tell. I don't know if Angela is that good of an actor. And this is par for the course. If you know perpetrators of abuse, this is par for the course. In some ways, it's moderate because she's not hitting him and not pushing him into the pool or strangling him. So there are much more severe cases of abuse that are really quite common. I'm not saying that her abuse isn't terrible, but it's at a certain level. And so a lot of people might be looking at this and just being like, no one acts like that. And let me tell you, I'm here to tell you, people do act like this. It's usually behind closed doors. We usually don't see it. They usually know not to do it in front of the camera. I think Angela at this point thinks she can do anything on the show and she'll get support. The other part about this is who knows what's going on behind the scenes, right? The producers, I don't know, I have no data to go off of, but it's possible, it would stand to reason that the producers of the show actually want her to do this because it creates more viewership, right? So it's possible that the producers are doing subtle things, consciously or unconsciously, to encourage her to do this, to validate it, to say like, yeah, Michaels, you deserved it. Yeah, good for you that you really went. I mean, who knows? I have no data to go off of, but it would stand to reason. At the very least, they keep rewarding her with being on the show, and I think she gets a lot of attention by doing this sort of thing, right? She wouldn't have repeat seasons if she didn't do some of this stuff in the first season. You know, there are plenty of people on this show that do not get repeat seasons, right? And presumably most, if not all of them, or well, most of them want that. They want that repeat season. And it is kind of a mystery to me as to why certain people are asked back and why some people aren't. You know, you think about like Ben and Mahogany, maybe they will be asked back, but they're not back. Now it's possible they didn't want to, but that doesn't seem likely, right? And then you think about Jovi and Yara. Like, I'm still kind of boggled as to why they're being followed so much, because I think they've been on 3 seasons. They seem like a lovely couple. They seem fine. There is some story there in terms of the war in Ukraine for sure, and Jovi does have issues and Yara has issues, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem. Anyway, point is that it's possible that for Angela, she actually at this point feels like she has license to do this sort of thing. You got to figure on Instagram, on DMs or whatever, on Twitter, she might be getting a lot of people supporting her, telling her that this is okay. I don't know, but there is evidence, and I've heard claims from people who might know her from her personal life, that she has a particular political view, perhaps an echo chamber, that supports bullying and tyranny, particularly of Black and brown people. I don't know that, but it wouldn't be hard to imagine, right?
I feel like I missed something from this morning, from the time you went to the park.
He lied. Last night, when he followed me home, got up there, started making love, and he said he'll take it down. He loves me, B.I.G.
Right. That's not good. That is a problem. It's easy to interpret that as he's a liar, he's a scammer, he's trying to manipulate her, he used her for sex. It's not hard to draw that conclusion, but it's not the way that it sounded to me. The way it sounded to me was it wasn't about sex for him. It was about trying to preserve the relationship, and the sex came with it, I think. And so for him, I think he said, I lied to her because I just wanted her to listen to me. I wanted her to like me again, because whenever they've talked about it on the phone, in person, multiple times, unless he says, I will give up my Instagram, she won't listen and she'll get in his face. I mean, we will use the phrase that someone isn't listening to someone. You know, people would say that when they're in a fight. They're like, you're not listening to me. That is a far cry from what's actually happening. When we say Angela is not listening to Michael, she is not listening to Michael. She won't even let him talk without getting into his face or literally physically abusing him. So it was a desperate act. It was wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. But I don't know. I don't think it is as they portray it, as Angela's portraying it, and I'm guessing as the friend will interpret it as.
I left it alone. I said, you know what? I believe him. Here I go again, believing this dumbass. Today is a different story. He used me to and now he's changed his mind about IG.
Is that what happened, Michael? When we were talking in the entryway, you never told me that part of the story.
Yeah. So I think Michael knows that there isn't really an excuse for this that will sound very good. So hopefully he can reiterate and say, like, look, it wasn't about the sex. She wouldn't even let me talk unless I said that. So yeah, I lied about it. I guess if Michael were to play it better, he would have, if he did decide to lie, he would have said, he would have committed the lie and knew that he was lying, and then not had sex with her, right? And said, look, I just, can we talk? Okay, I'll give up my Instagram, but can we talk? No sex, no intimacy. We need to work stuff out. And then if that didn't work out, then he could say, well, to tell you the truth, I only told you that because I was trying to get you to listen to me. It's clear that you aren't really interested in talking to me about it, so we're done. And then the only accusation would be the lie. But because he had sex with her, it could. I don't think that is. Do we really believe that Angela is being exploited somehow by this? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know. It could definitely be that. So I don't know. At the very least, it's not a good thing. We shouldn't lie. You know me. And I'm just trying to think what else Michael could have done. Well, really, Michael could have concluded that if it takes me lying to my wife that I'm going to get rid of my Instagram for her to listen to me, there's something deeply wrong with our relationship. And I've done everything I can. So I guess it's done. There's really nothing more I can do. So, but we understand people, it takes them a while to adjust to divorce. It's hard, right? And you'll take desperate actions. So anyway, and I just thought of something. Just wait. At the tell-all, they will frame it as Michael did something horrific by lying. They won't focus on her constant abuse of him. There's a chance that they'll focus on her hypocrisy, given that she was the one flirting online. I could see that because they really did portray that, as the storyline. But I bet you anything during the tell-all, they will de-emphasize her constant abuse of him. So why would the production team do that if they would do that? And because we've seen other things along those lines, that the show will portray certain things. And I think there are 2 or 3 possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities, but the ones at the top of the list for me are, one, they don't really recognize that Angela is being abusive, and they think it's normal, they think it's okay, and or they really like Angela, or they know that the audience really likes Angela or likes it when Angela will get angry. Because I think there's a fair amount of people that actually watch this show specifically to watch Angela go off. They just think to them, it's sort of like watching Jerry Springer or WWE or whatever the wrestling federation, WWF or something. Anyway, when I was a kid, we called it big time wrestling. And so the other possibility, and this would be a total genius move, is if the producers know that when they do things that cause the audience to hate the producers, then that actually will drive up viewership, ironically. And with big time wrestling, with WWE or whatever, was that one guy's name McMahon or something? If I remember the history and the progression right, at first, the ownership of the Wrestling Federation was trying to come across like the good guys. And then they did some bad things, and there was some press that came out that some wrestlers were upset at the ownership organization. And what the ownership did was, instead of trying to defend themselves, they leaned into it, from my memory. I don't know if any of this is right. I'm not a wrestling. I've been to live wrestling. It's actually really fun live. But anyway, I wonder if the producers know that if they do things on the show that cause the audience to hate both the cast members and the production team, that will cause more viewership, because when people are upset, they tweet, they talk about it, it engages them. You know, the worst thing I think you can have for a reality show is no emotional reaction or just joy. You know, if we just saw Kenny and Armando having a good time all the time, the show probably wouldn't get any ratings and it would go off the air. So at least I'm pretty sure that's the case, right? Because it seems like that's what worked. You know, think of Jerry Springer and these kinds of shows. It was a huge viewership for that show, and it was ridiculous that everyone knew it was fake from, I think, didn't everyone know it was fake? I mean, eventually it was all completely faked, right? So it was just interesting. It's fun, you know. It's like people are yelling at each other. That's engaging. Let's see what happens. And so it would be a genius move if the producers knew that if they do things that cause the audience to hate them, that more viewership will happen. And they might even do that on purpose to manipulate the crowd. I don't know. It's probably more likely that the producers are just trying to create a story and they're looking for any kind of hook, and they don't really recognize that Angela's being abusive, because I think most people don't even think women can be abusive to men, which is just ridiculous.
You just said I'm putting my foot down and I'm not taking down my Instagram, but you never told me that you promised her that you would. Seeing Michael caught in a lie, I feel like she's got a lot of validity there. A lot. He disappointed me with that.
Do you see?
It's okay to have validity in your emotion, but that doesn't make it okay to abuse someone. She's always standing up, standing over, kicking, hitting, pies in face, grabbing, finger in face, threats, talking over him. You're entitled to be upset that he lied. Absolutely. Hurt, angry. Yeah, absolutely. It does not at all give you license to abuse him.
See why I get mad? Just son of a in his heart. He knows what he's done is wrong.
I lied and I apologize. But listen to me for once. We need to talk this thing.
You ain't got no morals.
I mean, it's not as if I'm flirting or I'm cheating. Just a simple social media.
Shut up, Michael. I'm gonna kick you in that goddamn pool.
So she threatens to push him in the pool. I said that earlier just as a for instance. I didn't think that would happen. I wonder if they even set that up so that would happen. I don't know. I don't think they need to set things up with Angela. I think things will just happen naturally. So I hope that she doesn't. Although, I don't know. What do I want as a citizen? I want her to get treatment as a perpetrator of abuse, which she can do with traditional domestic violence treatment. So normally they'd be court mandated because they were convicted of a crime, assault of their partner, and they spent a year in our perpetrator treatment group therapy program. But there were some people who volunteered. They knew they had a problem, they had an incident, and they got assessed and recommended for domestic violence treatment, intimate partner violence treatment. And it was rare, but it happened. So that's what I would wish for her. Do I think that'll happen? Absolutely not. As a citizen, what I would hope for Michael is that he would move on, I guess. I hate to say that. Well, do I hate to say that? Is that so strange? Because there's got to be someone else out there that is a better fit for him, right? So I guess regardless of what happens here, I sort of hope that they just both move on and that she gets help and that he dates again and finds someone more compatible.
Reveal. Shut your mouth.
Let me talk.
Should I break the ice?
If you want to wait, what's the meaning of all that?
Did he tell you about the girl he called his person? Ask him about that mother. I got screenshots of all of it. Well, guess what, Michael? You can't lie your way out of this. I have proof.
Let's
I don't want to hear your goddamn lies no.
All right, again, not an excuse to abuse someone and talk over them, especially if you're trying to work things out, which historically, this is her version of trying to work things out. Normally, if you watch this, oh, well, she must be done. She has threatened to leave him probably hundreds, if not thousands of times. She has done things along this lines for years. So there's no reason to believe that she actually wants to leave him. So presumably, she wants to work things out. And she doesn't really want to break up. She wants to see if they can reconcile. So, okay, and she brings up that she has screenshots. Do I believe that it's firm or it's clear that he was cheating on her? No, but it's possible. It is possible. Now, if we can see those things or hear the data, then that would help us to know. What do I think about that? I don't know. It's hard to know what that is. Now, when did she get this data? Because if she got it recently, okay, like last night, then or this today, then okay. But if she's known about it this whole time, and that's where she was coming from, I could see two scenarios, or I could see three. One is that it's not, even to Angela's eyes, it's not clear that he was cheating. Two, if it is clear that he's cheating, then Angela might be so ashamed of herself and afraid of being humiliated that she actually would leave that data point out. She didn't want that to get out there, and now she's desperate, so she's bringing it up. The other possibility is that she's always had this screenshot, but it was always something that wasn't very likely, and so she's just bringing this up as a way to try to win the argument. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
No more. Mother.
let's talk.
Yeah, and to be clear, if he did cheat and there's a possibility that he wants to reconcile, and she can leave if he did cheat, there's no opportunity for him to actually redeem himself or apologize or explain himself, because she literally will not let him talk. When he tries to talk, she talks over him. I mean, if you counted up, aside from the time when he did lie to her and say that he will cancel his Instagram, if you counted up all the words that he has said to her this whole season, it's probably a small set of all the words that have been said between these two. Also, I would say 90% of the sentences that he does manage to get out is, let's talk, or please talk with me, or please calm down. Like, all of his statements are like, will you please just engage in a conversation with your husband? All right, well, if you like what we're doing here, you can become a patron of the podcast. That's how we know you like what we're doing. And if it weren't for the patrons, I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. So only if you want to, only if you can afford it, of course. And take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.